Getting back to our origin of we the people. Tackling current issues, both political and legal, with common sense. As we the people, we must bring common sense back to make our lives better. Only on Now Media TV.
Welcome back to another episode of We the People. I am your hostess, Alina Gonzalez Dockery, and I love March Madness, and there's so much to celebrate. I mean, we got the brackets going, baseball starting, and without fail, Washington, D.C. has its own level of madness, and I want to just jump right into it. The Republicans are eyeing actions against the courts, our third equal branch of government, and judges as Trump rails against the rulings against him. Republicans in Congress are escalating their attacks on the federal judiciary, proposing measures to limit court rulings, cut funding, and even impeach judges in response to decisions that have blocked key policies of the Trump administration. More particularly, the executive orders, which some of them are way beyond the executive branch's authority. Let's just be real. House GOP leaders are considering all options to counter the judiciary's rulings against Trump's executive actions, particularly regarding federal worker firings, funding freezes, and the closure of government offices. But the straw that broke the camel's back is when they put an injunction that flights to El Salvador with illegal entried individuals can continue. This effort has even been bolstered by billionaire Elon Musk, who has aligned himself with the administration's push for a leaner federal government and is financially supporting Republican lawmakers advocating for judicial crackdowns. Not the first time, folks, I assure you. Seems like we always had this influx of the judiciary, they're advocating from the bench, their legislation from the bench. It happened back in, I think, Obama time, and actually it was Obama's term where we had this big of an attack, not even during the first Trump era. A significant flashpoint in this battle is surrounding Judge James E. Boasberg's ruling that reversed the deportations ordered by the administration, prompting Trump to call for his impeachment. House Republicans are rallying behind Trump's demand, arguing that Congress has the authority to restructure or defund the courts. This is mad. I'm telling you, as an attorney, as an individual, this is ludicrous. We need a little civics education to happen in Congress and the media, but we'll get to that. The Republican House Speaker, Michael Johnson, emphasized their ability to dismantle entire judicial districts and restrict funding as part of their broader strategy to curb judicial interference with executive decisions. These threats mark an unprecedented power struggle between the executive and judicial branches, with the Republican-controlled Congress backing Trump's aggressive stance. This judicial confrontation follows a Supreme Court ruling last summer that granted broad immunity to the executive branch, emboldening the administration's challenges to legal constraints. However, Chief Justice John Roberts has cautioned against using impeachment as a tool for retribution against judicial decisions. Despite this warning, Republicans are pressing forward with efforts to limit the judicial power, introducing legislative proposals that would restrict the geographic scope of federal rulings and prevent nationwide injunctions. Democrats view these moves as a direct attack on the judiciary's independence, which is such hypocrisy, because do you remember AOC and all of the Democrats demanded an impeachment of the Supreme Court justices because of the overturning of Roe v. Wade? The Democrats warning that undermining courts would erode democratic checks and balances. Hello, the Democrats told Biden, ignore the Supreme Court rulings that enjoined him from doing the student loan stuff. But again, hypocrisy. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer condemned Republican efforts to defend the courts. calling them a dangerous assault on a legal system. In response, the House Judiciary Committee, chaired by Representative Jim Jordan, is preparing for hearings on the matter, with Jordan maintaining that all options are on the table to address judicial overreach. The broader legal battle stems from the administration's aggressive push to dismantle federal agencies and programs, leading to a surge in lawsuits from advocacy groups, labor unions, and watchdog organizations, as well as a coalition of attorney generals from blue states. Courts have issued numerous injunctions against Trump's policies, prompting Republicans to complain about the judicial bias, or claiming there is. Now, some of these lower courts have already been overturned on appeal because they have overstepped their ability to do so. According to the Harvard Law Review study, Trump's first administration accounted for 66% of all injunctions issued on presidential actions between 2001 and 2023, reinforcing the GOP frustrations. House and Senate Republicans are now advancing legislation, with figures like Representative Darrell Issa and Senator Josh Hawley spearheading efforts to limit judicial authority. While some House Republicans are eager to pursue these impeachments, top GOP leaders in the Senate have been more cautious, signaling reluctance to take such drastic steps. Now, usually a judicial impeachment follows either a conviction, a federal bribery conviction, for instance. Like there's been some element of a conviction or a huge violation, not just merely we don't like the ruling you put against us. I mean, my God, you know how many times, I'd never thought I could potentially have a judge impeached because I didn't like his ruling against one of my clients. Senate Majority Leader John Thune has advised patience in emphasizing the legal disputes should follow the established appeals process. John Thune, a voice of reason, follow the appellate procedures. That's why they're there. With tensions mounting, the battle over judicial independence is set to intensify, shaping the balance of power between the branches of government in coming months. Telling you folks, this is our new bracket. We got to do it. If you do the bracket for March Madness and the NCAA basketball championships, this might be the next one. Roberts rejects Trump's call for impeaching judge who ruled against his deportation plans. Chief Justice John Roberts issued a very rare public statement rejecting President Trump's call for the impeachment of a federal judge who ruled against his deportation policies. Roberts emphasized that impeachment should not be used as a response to judicial decisions, reaffirming the role of appellate review in handling legal disputes. This came after Trump lashed out at U.S. District Judge James E. Boasberg, who blocked deportation flights involving alleged Venezuelan gang members, arguing that the president overstepped his authority by invoking wartime powers that were initiated in 1868. Trump's criticism of the judiciary is not new, but his latest remarks have escalated tensions between the executive and judicial branches. In a post on Truth Social, he called Boasberg an unelected troublemaker and agitator and claimed judges were obstructing his efforts to fulfill the will of the voters. Despite Roberts' statement, Trump later insisted in a Fox News interview that the Chief Justice did not explicitly mention him, suggesting that the broader push to impeach judges was justified given what he sees as judicial overreach. The case at the center of all of this dispute, that proverbial straw that broke the camel's back, involves Trump's use of the Alien Enemies Act of, 1798, not 1868, to deport suspected gang members, a law historically applied only during declared wars. Boasberg blocked the deportations and ordered some flights to be turned around, prompting the Trump administration to question his authority. Some deportation flights to El Salvador reportedly continued despite this ruling, raising concerns about whether the administration defied a court order. The Justice Department is now seeking to have Boasberg removed from the case. Trump's push for the judicial impeachments aligns with the views of his ally, billionaire Elon Musk, who has similarly criticized federal judges. House Republicans, some of whom have already introduced impeachment articles against other judges involved in Trump-related rulings, are expected to take up the issue. I'm telling you, Pandora's box written all over this. However, judicial impeachments are historically rare. Only 15 judges in U.S. history have been impeached, and just 8 removed from office. And I believe the last one was in like the late 1980s and early 1990s. Any successful impeachment would require a 2/3 majority vote in the Senate, which they never have. So that's why I squashed this. It's a waste of time and resources. I mean, we're supposed to be about economics and being fiscally responsible. An impeachment of this type would be a waste of resources. Just a taxpayer's opinion. And it is unlikely the outcome given the chamber's current composition. Legal experts warned that Trump's actions amount to an effort to intimidate the judiciary and could undermine judicial independence. Personally, I think it's just going to piss a lot of the judges off, and they're going to be even stronger in their resolve and find the basis to block everything out. Whether I agree, I do not agree with all of these injunctions. Some of them are clearly overreaching. And yes, of course, there is judge shopping. That basically is when the AGs are filing in specifically very liberal leaning judicial districts, such as Washington, D.C. But even some of these judges, they were George W. Bush appointments. I mean, it's not like everybody is so skewed. I mean, we got to get out of this mindset. Yes, there are some. There's some that are extremely right wing and others are left wing, and they base their judgments on that. That is their perception. That is their perspective. But this is a very, very big Pandora's box that has been open. It's been kind of like being slipped open by the Democrats before. Now we're even bigger. We are going to take a quick break, and we're going to continue on this March Madness Blitz on the judiciary. You tune right back in.